I'm Lisa Haisha. Welcome to the Legacy series. Today on my couch, I have Tim.
One more time.
First time I've done that. Yeah. Welcome to the Legacy series. I'm Lisa Haisha, and today I have Kim Summers Egelsee with me. And I've been a Facebook friend of hers for quite some time. And I've been following her, and I found her work very inspirational. And she just wrote a book on confidence, and she's an international speaker, and she speaks about inspirational topics. And she's also, I think you've also done a TED Talk. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yes. So she's a TED speaker, TEDx. And I just want to talk to her today about her legacy and what makes her do what she does and how she got into inspirational speaking. So hello.
Hi.
How are
Thank
you?
so much. Great. I'm awesome.
Wonderful.
Happy
Thanks
to
so
be
much
here.
for coming. Yeah. So tell me, how did you get into this field?
You know, it's interesting because when I was 18 years old, then my dad's boss at his current real estate company introduced us to seeing Jim Rohn, the great Jim Rohn, who's no longer with us, sadly. And so I got to see him and then later meet him and follow him through the years. And now I'm 41. And I learned goal setting. I really got into personal development. And I just started getting really intrigued by it. And in between, I was doing things like entertainment. I did producing and acting and modeling. And I also was in the field of special education for a long time, doing a lot of behavior work and teaching and different things. But on the side, because of all my exposure to personal development, I did life coaching, but I thought of it more as a hobby. And the more certifications I started getting, I started to realize that it was my purpose. I started getting hypnotherapy and NLP and different things, life coaching, and I
Wait, you
realized
started getting
more
certified for them?
certifications.
Okay.
And I just realized that that was something that I was meant to do in a bigger scale. And I really started feeling like I was stepping into my purpose. And so I began coaching people more as a job, as a career, as a purpose.
But what made you spend so much time getting certified?
I just wanted to learn more and grow more. And it's interesting because I never really wanted to be a hypnotherapist or anything like that. I just wanted more and more knowledge and wisdom because I always love learning. And I was reading all the books and I was attending seminars, but I wanted more of a deeper knowledge so that I could create my own methods. And so I started coaching in that way with all of those different methods and ended up creating my own and ended up starting to speak and things like that. And I realized that I really truly had found my purpose. And I just love the results and I love hearing the feedback and I love seeing outcomes from people's lives of them feeling like they love themselves, things like that.
Yeah, how long were you studying these different modalities?
You know, I'm overall everything. I would say I started at 18 and didn't stop. But I mean, the last 7 years or so, I really got more into deeply studying everything. Yeah.
So who are your top three people who have influenced you the most besides Jim Rohn?
New Yorker. I don't know if you know who
I
she is,
don't.
but New Yorker, she was one of Tony Robbins' students years ago, but she's created a lot of her own methods, and so I studied with her a lot. She's really a great speaker, a great transformational leader. She was also in Discover the Gift with Cheyenne.
Okay.
Joy
Yes.
Aziz. So I would definitely say New Yorker. I would say one of your people, Og Mandino. I've read everything he's ever written, and I
Yes.
feel like it influenced my life in a really great way. And then I studied with a woman that's named Robin Duncan. And she's
don't know her
actually a
either.
big Course in Miracles person. And I did a lot of studying with her. And she's just got a really peaceful, deep wisdom type of method of teaching. And I just went to her because I knew she had that where I would learn at a different level. So her too.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So who do you think you are today compared to 18-year-old Kim?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, I still have the same overall personality. I've always been really joyful and interesting. My middle name's Joy, too. But I'm still the same Kim, but I think I have a lot more knowledge and a lot more wisdom, and I look at life more open-minded and non-judgmental due to different things I've been through. And I think all of the knowledge that I've acquired has allowed me to transform it into my own way of teaching and delivering. But I try to do it in a way where it's practical, like people could apply it right away. It's not so confusing or deep where they're just going to take it and never use it. I try to really make it where they can go, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start this. Very down to earth. And I'm really big on I walk the walk and talk the talk and use it too. I'm not just making up something that doesn't work. So I'm big on that too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I saw that from you, and we have mutual friends, and everyone
lot.
has something, really great to say about Kim.
Oh,
so that's,
thank you.
Yeah, so you really do exude something where you're walking the talk.
Thank you.
Yes, people really believe in you. And that's another reason I really wanted to interview you, because I thought, someone who looks as beautiful as you are, and you're a great speaker, and just everything you teach, and your pictures on Facebook, even with your children. And we were going through them a lot, and with every day it was like, can I see those girls again? They're so sweet.
Aww.
So it's like their energy, even so you're passing it through to your children.
They're funny, yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice.
They're very charismatic.
Yeah, so I want to know, what was a setback you had from 18 or whatever till now that you had to overcome to get to where you are today?
Well, if I go back, there's been several, but if I go back to younger right around that time, I was about between 18 and 20, I was in an abusive relationship. And it was the most popular guy in high school. He was very good looking. Everyone wanted to go out with him, so that was my reason back then, because I was young. Oh, wow, he asked me out, you know. And long story short, I went through the relationship for almost 3 years and put up with a lot of stuff. It wasn't severely abusive where he was beating me or anything, but it was verbally abusive. He hit me once. It was unacceptable. I would never, ever put up with that now. But I realized through a lot of self-reflection, I did end up walking away, but I realized that during that whole period, I was trying to fix him. And because I was just driving myself crazy, going, why did I put up with that? I had a really normal upbringing. Why would I let myself go through something like that? And I realized that the whole time I was trying to fix him. I was reading him psychology books. I was trying to make him go to, a Gamblers Anonymous meeting, all these things. And so I think I learned a lot about myself through it. And I was strong enough to finally get out of it and not put up with it and marry him or anything like that. So that was one thing that was pretty drama and roller coaster filled during that period.
What about your career?
In my career?
Yeah.
I think in my career now, it's just been some hit or miss things, like trying to see what works and what doesn't work. I would say, maybe having a seminar and not having many people show up or something like that.
Helping financing it and then losing money because it didn't go. But then you just think about it and think, how can I do it better next time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what really stands out to me, I think, is because I think it kind of all comes together. Like all the stuff I did in entertainment taught me what I'm doing now because it relates with events and speaking and things. And I had tried doing producing for a while, and I was producing this children's fitness series, and I got really big producers involved, and I was so excited, and it was being cast, and we were ready to film, and it fell through. And I was devastated, and I just kind of lost my passion, and I felt like that wasn't my purpose anymore. And so I think that was one that really stood out to me as something like, it was like up here and then whoosh, it didn't go through, and it was really disappointing. So I would say that one stands out more. But then I realized that wasn't my purpose anyway.
Yeah, so what did you do when you were down? How did you get back up again?
I created some more shows and started trying to produce those.
Okay, so you just said that didn't work, moving on.
Yeah,
okay, good.
And we did continue to try to pitch that for a little while, and then it just didn't ever work out. And so
I usually say I'd get 1 or 2 days to cry. Oh, poor me. And it's like, okay, move on.
But it taught me, I always was worried back then. It was quite a while back, and I was worried, what will people think? I didn't succeed. And it really taught me that, hey, the fact that I really tried shows that you're a go-getter, even if you don't get the complete huge success with it. You know what I mean?
I do, and I think it's more about the journey anyway.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter whether it succeeded or not. It's what you learned on the road, because there's always going to be another thing if you create it, and if you're a go-getter. Exactly. One thing's not going to stop you. So it's like, oh, that's interesting. What did I learn from that? If you could take a pause and really reflect on that, then take your strengths to your next career move, and set yourself up with interesting people. Like I've been trying to do this on my own. Then I found my videographer, James Reed. Yeah. I brought him in and then slowly started co-creating with him, and, made him project manager. He's like, he has 100 titles depending on what we do. But when you find someone that you could co-create with, it's like, oh, that works better for me because the synergy.
Absolutely.
Instead of doing something on your own.
I agree completely.
Yes. So what advice would you have for someone who wants to be a speaker or create events, self-help events, or get into life coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely have a big basis of knowledge. Make sure that you make a big compound effect of everything you've ever learned. Like, evaluate what have you done from ages 0 to now, and how does any of it apply to what you're going to be doing, and then just get into a period of learning, communicating, connecting, acting, and behaving the way that you want to convey and start to teach the world. And then start. Like, kind of make sure that you have the basis of knowledge of what you want to put out there. And then you're confident and you're excited and you're ready. And then when someone asks you questions or, wants to know what you're talking about, then you're totally prepared and ready to go
Yes.
out there and be the coach and be the teacher and be the speaker. Because I think sometimes I certify people as coaches and I teach them how to speak and do different things. And I think sometimes people want to jump into it before they're completely ready and they don't even know where to start. And so at least having somewhat of a basis of, okay, I feel completely ready and confident, at least enough, you know?
Yes.
And so I would say that. And then I would say, don't be afraid to ask people for help and ask for advice. And sometimes you might have to ask 30 people and 2 people will respond to you, but you'll get those right people that'll help you along the way and help you know what to do and know how to set up an event and know how to get other speakers there to help you and things like that. So I would say that.
Yes, I get so many people who call here to get certified, and I said, well, what's your goal? Oh, I want to get rich. Can you guarantee that I'm going to make at least $20,000 a month? What are you doing? Oh, I'm living back at home with my parents, right? I'm like, you're not ready.
Yeah.
Why would someone listen to you? Especially if your consciousness is, I just want to be a millionaire. I just want to make X amount of money. It has to be how I want to serve you. And then come from, this is how I can serve you. And once you understand that, I feel you could then go, okay, now how do I monetize it?
Exactly.
But you have to know, and that has to be your biggest wish, is to serve people.
Yes.
Because as you probably know, when you give, you get back.
Oh my
But if you're
gosh.
not giving from that place, your
Yeah.
core, your soul, it never comes back. It never works.
Yeah, if you have the wrong reasons. And it's all
Yeah.
about, connecting. And
Yes.
for years I did my women's workshops that I had for 3 years. I had LA and Orange County women's workshops every month. And I never really had making money on my mind at that time because I was building community, and then it turned into men's and women's workshops. But it was all about building a foundation of who I am and what I'm offering and uplifting other speakers and putting them on a platform. And it was so much fun. It was amazing. And I think that's a good way to build, doing something like that. I call it creating your own opportunities and jumping into them and not
Yes.
being afraid to do that. And if it doesn't work, you just steer the boat the other way,
And not giving up.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's no one way to do this.
Yeah,
There's
and
so many
I like
different.
the journey is much more important than the actual outcomes most of the time.
Absolutely. I think the good and the bad, because the journey is what you take away.
Yes.
Outcomes like, oh, I did this book. I worked so hard. Now it's a bestseller. Then it's like, now what else can I do? But what you keep is, oh my God, those times where I could have quit or what I had to go through. If it's so easy, you don't get the lessons.
Exactly.
So I think it's powerful to sit in the journey and not criticize it or get depressed about it. Just go, okay, this is part of it.
Absolutely.
So-
One of the best pieces of advice I got from someone about that, I interviewed Terry Nunn, who is the lead singer for Berlin, the Take My Breath Away, and she's a rock star. She's awesome. And she said, for so many years when I was younger, I was so worried about what was coming next that I wouldn't even notice being on stage with these great people in front of, 100,000 people. I'd be so ready for, okay, I'm here, that's cool, but what's next? What am I going to do next? And she said she's so much wiser now that she just soaks it all in and she makes sure she's in the now and she relishes every moment and every memory. And so it taught her a big lesson. And so I always have that in the back of my mind, like, enjoy all of the experiences. Don't worry so much about what's next,
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for anyone who's a teenager today who's going through a hard time or a difficult time and doesn't know what they want? And they're just, I hate school, they don't like their life, and they're trying to figure themselves out. I've just been working with foster care kids and affiliating with this group called Kids in the Spotlight. And there's so many
Wow.
foster kids that just don't have a clue of what they want to do or where to go, and they're being, thrown from house to house. And so what would you say to them?
Yeah, and they haven't had the parental guidance.
Exactly.
And they haven't had the support. And I think to get them to that place of at least maybe some social stories where you can give them scenarios of kids similar to them that have gone through stuff with uplifting outcomes so that they can at least start to envision that it's possible And sometimes when you do a story similar to their life, they start to realize that that's possible. So I'm big on that. I like doing that. And just seeing if you could get them little by little to learn about how to become more confident and how to love themselves more. Sometimes it's in baby steps, but just having that hope. Okay, even if you just did this little thing, it's okay to be proud of yourself and pat yourself on the back. And I know some of them are unreachable and it's really difficult, and it's like the smallest step of maybe having them draw something they're feeling or whatever, but just noticing the baby steps. And I've done that when I taught pretty severely disabled children, and you would have to notice the teeniest, tiniest outcome of a goal coming true, but it adds up, And
yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, you're saying small steps then.
Yeah, and just getting them to maybe, even if they'll talk to you for 5 minutes, even if they'll try one thing, and teaching them, okay, we're going to do an exercise where
But what about if you're not there, just on their own? Like right now, if they're watching this, what would you say?
I would say to find someone that you trust, even if it's a best friend, or get a mentor or somebody that you can talk to regularly, journal, go for walks, go volunteer, and be a help to someone else that makes you feel
Absolutely
important and good.
And I think
yourself.
what you just touched on, getting a mentor, I think if everyone has just one person to love them or that they love, or someone that they could look up to, and someone who cares. Look what I did today, or look what I accomplished.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody that believes in them.
Yes.
Because sometimes they can't believe in themselves, so somebody has to do it for them first to see those great things in them. Because I don't think that even people that do have both parents, and if the parents were negative to them, sometimes they're stuck in believing they weren't good enough because of how the parents were. But if they didn't even have parents, they're just kind of lost a lot of the time. And so they need that person to show them what to believe about themselves sometimes.
Can you share an experience that you had that really helped launch your confidence?
I think it really, my parents helped me a lot along the way. They would really push me to go volunteer, to be on stage, like at amusement parks and things like that.
At what age?
Starting young, like 5, 6, 7, 8. But I did have some pitfalls along the way where I was made fun of, bullied, different little things that happened big to me at the time. But things that really shot my confidence down and made me become a people pleaser.
At that age? At 6, 7, 8?
Yeah, young.
Okay.
And I realized through the years that I was doing people-pleasing behavior and really latching on to people because I was scared of friends not liking me anymore because of how I was treated when I was younger. And so I realized that later. And so I really think it was more, my confidence started coming out more when I was 17, 18, because I started doing theater. And I think that's really doing student government, doing theater, getting into activities. It put me on that platform, and I got the feedback, and I started realizing I could do things that brought out my personality, and I didn't have to people please, and I could start owning who I am. So I think it really took that long to feel more confident. And I don't think I felt all the way confident like I do today until a few years ago, really honestly, until I really started getting into my purpose.
Okay, that's wonderful. So it took you, regardless of what you accomplished, until you found your purpose.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone needs truth, love, meaning, and purpose in their life to really know, why am I doing this? Not just, I want the money, but why? How is it serving me? How is it serving others? And if your daily life isn't about giving back in some way, or giving your gift back that we're all born with, I don't think you could truly be happy.
There was always a whisper of something
missing. There's always something missing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that was a big part of it. I mean, there's other things. I mean, in my whole confidence course that I teach, there's so many methods that will elevate your confidence like this as you go and you use them and you apply them. And all of those things were a big part of it. But I think the biggest topping on the cake is to walk into your passion and purpose. But a lot of times you form that foundation and your purpose comes to you. You find it anyway because you form that foundation of loving yourself and the confidence and owning who you are and not worrying about.
Yeah, I think once you have your confidence, you do find your purpose because you're confident enough to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not worried about what other people think it's about.
Yeah.
What you're about. So what do you want your legacy to be?
That's important. And it's interesting because my husband and I were a lot alike, and we've been together almost 20 years, and we have conversations like that. We actually sit at the table and talk about goals and dreams and legacy and what we want our kids to think of us as. And so, I mean, my most important thing is I really want to teach the world to love themselves. And it sounds so simple, but in my experience, speaking in front of groups, even in front of multimillionaires and people you would never imagine, there has always been about only 5% of people that can raise their hand when I ask them, how many of you could right now, like this, list 10 things you love about yourself off the bat? About 5% of every group raises their hand, and that's about it. And so I realize it's like an epidemic. People they don't have this foundation of being in love with yourself first, of loving themselves and thinking they have strengths. And it's, I don't know if it's just in the US, but it's an epidemic. And so my dream is to let people know that it's okay and wonderful to have the foundation of loving yourself, and then you'll receive a lot more love, and you'll be able to step into your purpose, and you'll be more confident, and you'll wake up more fulfilled. And so I think teaching the confidence and the inspiration and the loving yourself and the, leadership and things like that, just getting the word out more, because there's still such a small population that takes the time to learn that, and I wish it could be taught in schools and things like that. And so I think the foundation of all of that, whatever I'm meant to do in that aspect, is my legacy.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's so needed. And I think it's the trickle-down effect, like working with your children, or your children seeing what you do. I know my 6-year-old daughter sees me on the stage and teaching that, then she starts imitating
Mine too.
what I say. Yeah, and then she starts teaching her friends, did you know that you've got to do this, or you got to do that? And one of the simple exercises I teach about loving yourself is looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. Close to the mirror, 3 inches, 4 inches away, just looking into your soul and just staying there every morning, and 2 to 3 minutes, and connecting to you before you go out in the world.
I love that.
Yeah, because then you get to see who you are. You get to strip off your mask for you. I don't think we even look at ourselves anymore. And what you're saying about people don't love themselves, I think there's a very fine line where people are embarrassed or ashamed to say they love themselves because it's egotistical. So if they could say, no, what's egotistical is if you use that to bully or hurt people, or to make people uncomfortable, or even intellectually bully someone or emotionally bully them. But if it's a fine line, if you love yourself genuinely for who you strive to be, even, then, because we're all fallible, we're humans, that's why we're here, but to be the best person you can be, then that's loving yourself. And you pass that on, and people feel that energy within you, and then that's when you could transform lives, because people will listen to you.
And they start to,
because they don't know why.
do it too.
Because they don't know why, but this person, like you just mentioned, a couple of people you studied with, you could learn. Why them? It's because you felt something in them, their energy.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time for this energy.
Oh my gosh, this was so much fun.
Yes, you were just wonderful, and so many words of wisdom.
Oh, thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thank you so much. Yes.